History isn't just about kings and castles. It's also filled with jobs so bizarre, they sound absolutely unbelievable today. From human alarm clocks to sin eaters, here are 10 of the weirdest jobs you never knew existed. First up, the knocker-ups. Long before your smartphone alarm was a thing, and even before mechanical alarm clocks were common in every household, people had a much more personal wake-up service. You could hire a knocker-up, whose entire job was to make sure you got out of bed on time. They would walk the streets in the early morning hours, carrying long, lightweight sticks, often made of bamboo, to tap on the windows of their clients. For rooms on higher floors, they might use a pea shooter to launch small, hard peas at the glass. You literally paid someone to make sure you weren't late for your own job. It was a reliable system that persisted in some parts of Britain well into the 20th century. Talk about a human touch to your morning routine. Next, we have the leech collectors. Back in the day, medical science was different. For centuries, doctors believed in bloodletting, thinking that draining a bit of blood could cure a whole range of illnesses, from headaches to fevers. And their tool of choice? Leeches. This created a demand for leech collectors, a job that was as unpleasant as it sounds. These hardy individuals, often women, would wade into murky ponds and marshlands, using their own legs as bait. They'd stand in the water, letting the leeches attach to their skin. Once their legs were covered, they would come out, peel the little bloodsuckers off, and put them in a jar. It was a slimy, messy, and often painful job that left them with countless bites and a high risk of infection. All in the name of medicine. At number 3, we have the rat catchers. Imagine living in a crowded, sprawling city like Victorian London or medieval Paris. Now imagine it swarming with rats. These pests weren't just a nuisance. They were carriers of deadly diseases like the plague. This is where the rat catcher came in. This was a crucial, albeit disgusting, public health role. Armed with traps, poisons, trained dogs called terriers, or even just their bare hands, rat catchers ventured into the grimiest parts of the city sewers, alleys, and cellars to hunt down and exterminate rat populations. They were exposed to filth and disease on a daily basis, but their work was essential to prevent devastating outbreaks from sweeping through the population. They were the unsung heroes of urban sanitation, battling rodents to keep the city safe. Coming in at number 4 are the resurrectionists. This job sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, and for good reason. Also known as body snatchers, resurrectionists operated under the cover of darkness. Their job was to dig up freshly buried corpses from graveyards and sell them to medical schools and anatomy lecturers. In the 18th and 19th centuries, medical science was advancing rapidly, but there was a severe shortage of legally available cadavers for dissection and study. This created a booming black market. It was an illegal, dangerous, and morally questionable profession. Resurrectionists had to avoid graveyard watchmen and grieving families, and if caught, they faced public outrage and harsh penalties. Yet the high demand and good pay meant there was never a shortage of people willing to do the dirty work. At number 5, we have the lamplighters. Before the flick of a switch could illuminate an entire city, bringing light to the streets was a manual, nightly ritual. Every evening at dusk, lamplighters would walk their designated routes, carrying a long pole with a wick at the end. They would go from one gas lamp to the next, lighting each one to cast a warm glow over the cobblestone streets. Then, at dawn, they would make the same journey in reverse, extinguishing the flames to conserve gas. Lamplighters were a familiar and essential part of city life. They didn't just provide light, they provided safety, allowing people to navigate the streets after dark. They literally kept the heart of the city glowing, one lamp at a time. Enjoying these strange facts? Don't forget to subscribe, and share. Moving on to number 6, ice cutters. How did people keep their food cold before refrigerators were invented? They used ice boxes, and that ice had to come from somewhere. Enter the ice cutters. During the winter, when lakes and rivers froze solid, teams of workers would head out onto the ice with massive saws. They would score the surface into a grid, then cut out huge, heavy blocks of ice, sometimes weighing hundreds of pounds. These blocks were then hauled onto sleds by horses and transported to ice houses for storage. The ice would be insulated with sawdust and could last for months, even through the summer. It was tough, cold, and physically demanding labor, but it was the foundation of the entire cold food storage industry for generations. Number 7 is one of the most chilling jobs in history, the sin eater. This was a ritualistic role found in parts of England, Wales, and the Appalachian region of the United States. When someone died, their family might hire a sin eater to absorb the deceased's sins, allowing their soul to pass peacefully into the afterlife. The sin eater, usually a poor outcast, would be brought to the funeral. A loaf of bread and a bowl of ale or beer would be placed on the chest of the deceased. The sin eater would then eat the bread and drink the ale, and in doing so was believed to be taking all the sins of the dead person upon themselves. They were paid a small fee for this service, but were often shunned by the very communities that employed them, seen as vessels of all the sins they had consumed. At number 8, we find the gong farmers. This is another job that was absolutely essential, but incredibly unpleasant. In medieval and Tudor England, before modern sewage systems, waste from toilets and cesspits had to be removed by hand. That was the job of the gong farmer. The term gong came from an Old English word for dung. Working only at night to spare the public from the horrific smell, gong farmers would shovel the human waste, or night soil, from pits and privies into carts. They would then transport it outside the city or town limits to be used as fertilizer. It was a filthy, hazardous job. The fumes could be toxic and even deadly, and the social stigma was immense. But without them, cities would have drowned in their own filth. Number 9 is the powder monkey. During the Age of Sail, naval battles were chaotic and terrifying. Cannons roared, splinters flew, and the air was thick with smoke. In the midst of this chaos were some of the youngest crew members, the powder monkeys. These were young boys, sometimes as young as 10 or 12, whose job was to carry gunpowder from the ship S magazine below deck up to the cannon crews on the gun decks. They had to be small, quick, and nimble to navigate the crowded and dangerous environment during the battle. It was an incredibly perilous job. A single stray spark could ignite the gunpowder they were carrying, and they were constantly exposed to enemy fire. Many of these brave boys paid the ultimate price for their service. Finally, at number 10, we have a variation of our first job, sometimes just called a human alarm clock. If a knocker-up stick wasn't enough, you could hire someone for a more vocal wake-up call. In some industrial towns, people were paid to simply walk the streets at dawn and shout at the top of their lungs to wake up the factory workers. Imagine your day starting not with a gentle chime, but with a man yelling outside your window that it's time to get to work. It was a simple, low-tech solution to a widespread problem, ensuring that the mills and factories had their workforce ready to go at the crack of dawn. It really makes you appreciate the snooze button, doesn't it? Want more unbelievable history facts? Subscribe now and check out the playlist in the end screen. Thanks for watching.